Okay, we'll start the Mishnah again on Yud Beis on Beis. The Mishnah says, "Ir sheyesh bavos kolchavim b'hayu b'chanuyos mi'utaros v'shen mi'utaros." So if you have a city, an idolatrous city, and it has stores, some of which are decorated and some of which are not. So the Gemara is going to go through different stages. The Gemara is going to raise two different possibilities as to what the problem with an idolatrous store which is decorated is. One possibility is simply that it indicates that it is an idolatrous store, and it's usher to patronize an idolatrous store because you're giving benefit to the idol. That's possibility one. Technically possibility two, but fine. Possibility one in the Gemara will be that it's not a problem to patronize the idolatrous stores. The problem is that the decorations themselves are dedicated to Avodah Zara, and you are benefiting from, rather than giving benefit to, the idolatry. And the Gemara will suggest at the beginning that if the latter is the case, the prohibition will be limited to cases where the type of decorations are those that would give you benefit right away, as soon as you walk in the door. So that's what the Gemara will discuss. The Mishnah continues, and the Gemara said that the Mishnah says that in Beishan the Chachamim ruled that any decorated stores were forbidden, and if they were not decorated, they were permitted. So the Gemara says on Rosh Hashanah Lakish, Lo shanu ela meutaros bevered v'hadas. Rosh Hashanah Lakish takes the position that the problem here is you benefiting from the store, and therefore he says it's only a problem if it's decorated with things like hadassim, right, myrtles, fragrant flowers like roses and the like, because they have a strong scent. So as soon as you walk in, you benefit from the scent. But let's say that they have fruit hanging up, so the smell, they have a smell, but it's not so strong that if it's hanging up on the ceiling, you're not going to smell it realistically. So mutaros, then you're allowed even to patronize these idolatrous stores. My timer. Because he thinks that this is a derivation of the pasuk that you can't, nothing of the Avodah Zara can cling to you. Meaning, the prohibition at hand is benefiting from avol mehane, but you benefiting the Avodah Zara, you patronizing the Avodah Zara, share, that's permitted, and therefore, just because it's an idolatrous store doesn't make it permitted. Forbidden rather. Rabbi Yochanan Amar afilu miutaros beveros nami aser. Rabbi Yochanan says no, the problem here isn't benefiting from, the problem is patronizing. How does he know? He says kal v'chomer aser mehane lo kol sheken. He said if I can't even benefit from, of course I can't patronize and give support to the Avodah Zara. And therefore, the reason that a decorated store is forbidden is not because of the decorations themselves, but because of what it signifies. So, Meisvei, the Gemara challenges the possibility that it would not be prohibited to patronize stores. The Gemara says, Rabbi Nasan Omer, Yom Shavot Kolchavim Manachas Bo Es HaMeches. On the day that they collect the taxes that go towards the idolatry, Machrizin ve'omrim. So what they do is they announce and they say, Kol mi shenotel atara v'aniach birosho. Anybody who takes this wreath and puts it on his head, right, which is a sign of honor to the idol, and he puts it on his donkey as well, l'chvod avodas chachamim, to honor the idol, yaniach lo es hameches, we will waive the taxes. V'im lav al yaniach, and if you don't, we won't waive the tax. Right, al yaniach lo es hameches. We won't waive the tax for him. So what's the problem? Yehuda shenimtza sham. If you have a Jew there, ma yaseh yaniach. If he puts on the wreath, nimtza nene, he's benefiting from the idol. Lo yaniach. If he doesn't put it on it, nimtza mehane. Right, then he'll end up paying the tax, which will support the idol. So, right, nimtza gerech mikan v'gerech mikan. Right, you're going to, yeah, exactly. Right. So what's with mikan amru? So from here, Chazal say that Hanosein, B'shuk Shavot Kolchavim, that someone who does business in the idolatrous marketplace, Behema Te'aker, so the animal that he buys there has to be hamstringed, Peiros, Ksus, V'kelim, Yirkavu, fruit, clothes, vessels, you have to let them rot, Ma'os, uchli matchos yolicham yal melech, money and metal vessels that won't just rot. You have to throw them into the Dead Sea because you can't benefit, because anything that you did business with from this idolatrous marketplace is idolatrous, and therefore you can't benefit, so you have to destroy it. And then the Gemara says, Ve'ezu inikar, what exactly is this ikar we're talking about? Haminashir parsaseb min markubo ulamata. It's you pull out, it's in English it's hamstring, but you pull out the tendons of the animal from the joint down, right? I mean, yes. The Gemara is going to ask, isn't a problem start by the Gemara will ask that. Don't worry, but the Gemara will ask that. But the Gemara says, what's the point here? Before we get to the details of this brisa, Ktanimias yaniach nimtza nehne lo yaniach nimtza mehane. The assumption here is that it's a problem to benefit, and it's a problem to cause benefit to patronize. So how can you tell me that anybody holds that it is permitted to patronize an idolatrous store? The assumption that this entire teaching is predicated on is that is untrue. Right, the Gemara talks about this several. Right, this comes up many times in Avodah Zara. Right, this came on right DAF Ches. Right, that anyone who lives in Chutz La'aretz is nimta oved avodah zara b'tahara. Right, you don't mean to, but what are you going to do? Everything is, the taxes are constantly going. They're supporting the idolatry. Right, you're always involved in party. Right, at some point, if you're in that culture, whatever you do is seen as a token of appreciation. It patronizes. Now, this is a theme throughout Avodah Zara. Not surprisingly. Okay, so Amar of Misharshya Birei Diravidi Ksavar Shimon Lakish Pligi Rabban Alei. So very simple. He says, look, Shimon Lakish says that is Alei de Rabbi Nassan. That is the unique position of Rabbi Nassan. But there is an anonymous position that he's assuming of the Rabbanan that disagree. V'hanadamri ki Rabbanan de Pligi Alei, and I rule in accordance with the position that I ascribe to the Rabbanan. It's true, it's not explicit here, but that's the position that I hold. Rabbi Yochanan Savar Lo Pligi, and Rabbi Yochanan says no, there is no machlokes. Rabbi Nassan is the dominant position and the only position, and therefore you can't say that there's no problem to cause benefit to patronize idolatry because everyone agrees that it is forbidden. The Gemara says Velo Pligi. Do they really not argue? Vatanya, what about the following brisa? Hochen liyarid shel ovdei kochavim. You're allowed to, if you go to the fair, right, of the idol worshippers. You can go there. You can buy animals, avadim and servants, ushvachot and maidservants, batim v'sadot ukramim, and you can buy houses, you can buy fields, you can buy vineyards, v'kosev umal v'arkoshalan, and you can even authorize them by going to their court system. Why? Why are you allowed to go? Isn't any money that you're using going to be used? Isn't it right? Aren't you patronizing the idolatrous market? He said, because there is this exception that we find often that you're allowed to do things when we focus on the fact that you're taking property away from them, you're saving it from them. And here the assumption is, right, this is Rashi says, meaning, sorry, that's on the last point, right? You're allowed to authorize these in the court to make sure that it can't be taken away from you. And if you're a Kohen, you're even allowed to go into Chutz La'aretz, which has a Tumah D'Rabbanan, right, rabbinic impurity because we don't know where dead bodies are, and therefore on the Rabbanan level, it's Tamei and Kohanim shouldn't go from Eretz Yisrael to Chutz La'aretz. Don't ask me how we deal with this halacha l'maisa nowadays, but you can go to Chutz La'aretz to fight with them in court. It's not only in Chutz La'aretz, you can even go into a cemetery. That can't be. You can't violate biblical law for this. He says, you're right, it means a rabbinically impure spot, which the Gemara in different places talks about, right? A place which has been plowed over, and there might or might not be a grave, right? Either a grave is lost in it, or the body that'll be there will be right, whatever exactly it is, but some sort of D'Rabbanan Tuma. And then once the Gemara is talking about cases when you can become impure. The Gemara says, a Kohen can also become impure in Derabanan. Lilmod Torah v'lisa isha, to go and learn Torah and to marry a wife. In general, these two go together. Right, that's why the Gemara in Kedushin, right, these two are, right, in general seen, I don't know, as equivalent, but both as significant mitzvot, and therefore they go together and they are often put up against each other. Right, the Gemara in Kedushin, Lilmod Torah v'lisa isha, which one do you do first? Right, they're both all-encompassing mitzvot, right, building a family and learning Torah. So which one do you do first if they're going to hinder each other? The Gemara in Yevamos, right, which says it, and in the context of the Puruvusagas and the Megillah, that you can sell a Sefer Torah for Lilmod Torah v'lisa isha, right? These things are connected. The Tajbeit has a tshuva where he says the reason they're connected is not just because they're both very important mitzvot, but actually he thinks that conceptually they're linked, because he thinks one of the primary reasons that you have children is to educate them in the ways of the Torah, right? And learning Torah is the actual, right, perpetuation of that legacy, and they're connected, because if you don't have children, there isn't a next generation to teach it to, and therefore the reason they always go together and they're always in discussions, because they both head towards the same goal, which is making sure there is another generation which is imbued with the legacy of Torah. And there's two components: to be educated in, to have people that can be educated in it. So for those two mitzvot, you are allowed to become Talmidei Rabbanan. So Amar Rabbi Yehuda Emasai Bizman She'ein Motzei Lilmod. Rabbi Yehuda clarifies it and said that's only if you have nowhere to learn in Eretz Yisrael, meaning you wouldn't have to leave for Chutz La'aretz to become impure on a rabbinic level. Bizman She'motzei Lilmod. But if there's a yeshiva in Eretz Yisrael and you can learn there, Eino Mitamei, so then you can't become impure. Rabbi Yossi said that's not true. Because just because there is a yeshiva that you could learn in doesn't mean you're going to learn there. Because I feel even if you could find a place to learn technically, not everyone can learn from everybody. Right? It's person specific, and therefore you have to find the right place, not just a place, but the right place.
Day school.
What?
Like day school.
Yeah. Like everything. I mean, education is right, especially. It's very, very person specific. And therefore, he said, no. The point here is that you're allowed to leave Eretz Yisrael as a Kohen to successfully learn. Now, that could mean because there's nowhere to learn in Eretz Yisraal. It could mean because there's nowhere for you to learn. That's the same. Comes to the same point. And Amar Rabbi Yossi, Ma'aseh Yosef HaKohen, Shalach Acharabo, Litzidan Lilmod Torah. And Rabbi Yossi said at one time that Yosef HaKohen followed his Rebbe out of Eretz Yisrael, presumably, to learn Torah, because you learn specifically from your Rebbe, right? And right, if you remember Makkah, it wasn't so long ago, right? The Gemara there and Daf Tes. This might have a spill to Daf Yud, right, where the Gemara says that if Rebbe goes into Galus, his Talmidim follow him, the Talmidim goes to Rebbe follows him, right? There's notion that you learn particularly well from your teacher. Right, once you've found a teacher, hold on to him no matter what. So the Gemara says that's what Rabbi Yossi HaKohen did.
So it sounds like it's not that you can't find any way to learn.
Correct, it's for you. Correct, for you. Right, successful learning for you. Exactly. Right, that's Rabbi Yehuda disagreed with, but that was Rabbi Yossi's position. Yeah.
We shouldn't let you go back.
Or you should follow me. Or you should follow me.
That is, I knew that was.
Yeah, exactly. wasn't that like a discussion of like right, Kropkin wanted to build like a community, like a Bayit 2 in Israel? Wasn't this like no? Okay. Yeah. Okay.
That's a dream the Rabbi had. I know.
It could be a dream. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. The Amar Rabbi Yochanan Rabbi Yossi. So the Gemara says, Alma, right, after all of that, Pligi, right? What do you see? What do you see from this? Right. So, where was the machlokas? Right, if we lost count of this whole thing, right? This whole thing had started before we got into the whole Talmud-Torah thing on the Holchin Li'arid of Kochavim, and you're allowed to buy things from them. So doesn't that show that that there is a position out there that says you're allowed to patronize the idolatrous stores? How can you say that it is unanimous? They are not allowed to patronize the store. We have a whole brisa that says you can and tells you what to do and you buy things, etc. It's not true. V'lo kasha, he said, look, you assume that what? Every time you go to the idolatrous marketplace, so there's a tax, and that tax is going to the, to the church, to the whatever, to the Beis Avodah Zara. It's not true. Depends who you buy from. Kan lokech min hatagar, tishakli michsa minei. If you buy from the official vendors, so they pay taxes, but if there's private people, they don't take taxes. Now, but I read the Gemara, I assume that what it means is that that's the official policy, but it could be that the time of the Gemara was no different than nowadays, right? There's officials who take credit cards and they pay taxes. Then there's the people, right, who take cash only and don't pay, right? And, exactly. So
tables then too. You can still pay under the table.
Right.
Nothing has changed.
Exactly. So I don't. I assume it honestly means the first one, but for all we know, this is paying cash under the table is it probably is a time-honored tradition, honestly. Not honored, but, long. Anyways. But he said that's the difference, right? You're allowed to patronize the people who are not paying their taxes, right? It's a flip on the on what is honest nowadays, right? Nowadays, pay your taxes. But then if the taxes are going to the idols, okay, so right. So I assume honestly here it's a policy issue, right? That seems to be the way the Rishonim take it. That private vendors were not charged. But again, the problem there is that you're directly benefiting the idols rather than a just government. Okay. Amar Bar. Behema te'aker. So the Gemara says, how can you do this to the animal? How can you hamstring it? You're causing it pain. The Gemara Bava Metzia tells us that Tzar Balei Chayim is D'Oraisa. How is it D'Oraisa? Good question, right? Rav Asher Weiss counts at least 11 different explanations in the Rishon and the Achronim. How it could possibly be D'Oraisa? Rashi in Shabbos Kuf Choches says that it comes from the mitzvah of prika, of unloading the animal. Right? You get all types of fascinating explanations, right? The Rambam in the Mor Nevuchim suggests in one place that it comes from the story of Bilam and his donkey, right? That he's chastised, so it comes from narrative, right? Which is an interesting place for it to come, in a D'Oraisa. Some of the Achronim take it from generic places, like right, that God is merciful, right, all types of generics, right?
Shooing away the mother bird.
What?
No one says shooing away the mother.
No, people reference that, right? You have all types of. Again, Rosh Weiss has a list of 11 different explanations of where it comes from. Rosh Weiss himself claims that it's what he calls Ratzon HaTorah, right? There's a category not of things that are explicit in the Psukim, but things that are emerge that the Torah wants you to do it. It's biblical in a sort of a more amorphous way. But again, he has a list there of 11 different possibilities of what it means that it is D'Oraisa. But whatever it is a value. So how can you cause pain to the animal? So Amar Rabbi Amar Rachmana Esusayim. Te'aker, he said, that's true, but there's a pasuk that says you're supposed to do this. Right? Te'aker, it's a pasuk in Yoshua. And as we know, one of the exceptions to Tzar Balei Chayim is where there's a purpose to it, and in this case there's a mitzvah purpose to it. Right? That's why Shechita is permitted. It causes some pain. Maybe we try to do it in the most painless way, but when there's a purpose, it is permitted for sure if there's a mitzvah. So yes, it causes pain, but in malas. Okay, Amar Mar ve'ezu ikur. So what exactly is this? Menasher parso semen arkuva ulemata. So you hamstring, you take out, whatever, you pull out the tendons or whatever, the ligaments from the joint and down. Urimini ein makdishim memachrein marichim izmana azeh. We have a Mishnah that tells us that you can't sanctify something based on mikdash, right? You can't put it in cherem. You can't be marich, right? Give something's value to the Beis HaMikdash. And if you did, and now there's no Beis HaMikdash, so what are you going to do? It's kadosh. So what do you have to do? Behema te'aker. So again, you do the same thing to the animal. Peros ksuzu kelim yirkavu. You let the vessels rot. Mos ukli machos yolichem liyam hamelach. And if you have these vessels, you throw them into the sea. The Ezu Igur, what exactly is this Igur? So he says, Noel Delis Bifonev Umesa. In this case, it just means lock the door and let it starve to death, right? I mean, Mesa Me'elet, it'll die by itself. So how can you say in our case you do it actively, and why by the case of Kachim do you do it passively, right? You lock it up and let it die. So Amar Abaye, Shani Asim, Mishum Bizayon Kachim, says you can't by the case of the Kachim, you can't do that because it's an active degradation to Kachim. We don't care about the Avodah Zara, we want to degrade it. But by Kachim, right, when something is Kodesh and we're just worried that someone's going to benefit from it, you can't actively damage it that way because that is just denigrating Kachim. So the Gemara says Vinishchetei, right? Right, Mishchad also Mishchad. One you shechted. He says no. Also beulidei takala. That will lead to a problem because people will end up eating it. Right, and that you can't do. I assume this means obviously the kosher animals, right? Not necessarily like we were thinking of like a horse or something, but obviously the kosher animals there. Vilashave gistera. Why don't you just cut it into pieces? Right, cut it down the back. Right, like split it in half. So Rabbi Amar Kravin Itat Stem and Mizbechosam Vigomer Losasum Kin Lashem Lokechem, because there's a prohibition of destroying Kodesh. Right, we're destroying Avodah Zara, but we can't destroy Kodesh, and that's just a destructive act on Kodesh. You can't do that. Rav Amar Rav said the problem is it looks like you're putting a blemish in kachim, where it says nireh, right? Nireh, it looks like it. Mumalyahi, right? You split the animal in half down its spine, right? It is that's a mum if I ever saw one. That's a blemish if I saw one. So he says that's true. That's not what we mean. It's not the blemish which isn't a blemish. It is. The reason is because the primary prohibition of causing a blemish is only when there's a Beis Hamikdash and there is a designation to which this animal could reach if you didn't blemish it. The chazi la'akrava, because it could be brought as a karban. Chazi la'akrava lislan ba. But now there is no such problem. Meaning, yes, it is a mum, but it's not a real halachic category anymore. It's only a nira problem, right? It still looks degrading, but technically there's no problem making a mum because it was never going to be a karban anyways. So he says, "V'leheve kematal mum." So just say, isn't it just like a case where you make a blemish on an animal which already has a blemish? Da'af al-gav d'lochazi le'akrava asur. Which we say, even though it can't be brought as a karban, it's still prohibited. Isn't this case parallel to that? So he says, no. Balmum nehi d'lochazi legufei. The balmum, right, a blemished animal, it may not itself be able to be brought as a karban anymore. But ledemei chazi. But it can, right? Its value still belongs to Kachim, and therefore it has some kedusha. Nowadays, there's no Beis Hamikdash. It's totally there's no destiny for it in Kachim, and that's why it'd be permitted to. If it weren't for this problem of Mars Ayin-esque problems, it would be mutter to cause a blemish to it. Okay. Ashchei Rabbi Yonah Rabbi Eloi Dikaya Pescha Ditzur. Rabbi Yonah found Rabbi Eloi, who was standing by the gate of Tzur. Amar Lei, so he said to him, Ktani Behema Teaker. Right? We said that the animal you should hamstring, but Eved. What about the servant? My Eved. What exactly do you do to the servant? So he said, what type of servant? Yisrael lo kami ba'ili. Right? If it's a Jewish servant, obviously you're not, killing him? No. Ki kami ba'ili. Eved is go chavim. I'm asking you what to do with the non-Jewish servant. So what's the halach? Amar lei. My kami bailach. What exactly are you asking me? Are you actually asking me? Are you allowed to, or do you have to kill the servant? You should know that the answer is no to that question. Also, how do you know? Tanya, because the Brisa says, right? If someone is an idolater, or someone is a rasha, right? A roi behemadakar, which is assumed to be a gazlan, right? A thief, a constant thief. So the halacha is you shouldn't go out of your way to save him. Bisman hazeh, we don't really. Most of these halacha, the Chazon Ish, right, already says that we don't really get into this for all types of reasons, right? Because we can't expect people, because there aren't open miracles in the world, and therefore we can't blame people, right? This is part of that whole Tinok Shanishba. So yeah, we're very. I don't know if Mekel or Machmir is the right word here, but we don't encourage letting people die of any strife. But All types of different, right? Meaning whatever, whatever version, whatever spin you want to put on it, we don't do that. But the point is that he says we don't save them, but that means v'lo moridin. We also don't hurt them actively if they happen to fall into the bottom of a pit and they're an evil rasha. So we can turn our heads from it, but you can't actively kill them, right? Or the Meshech Chachma goes so far as to say that the Gemara says that if you kill a Jew, you're chai for the death penalty, right? If you kill a non-Jew, you're not. Is that because it's less bad? The Meshech Chachma says no. It's because it's so bad, because it's such a chilul Hashem to kill a non-Jew that there is no possible forgiveness in this world, and therefore it's not even worth putting you to death because it won't accomplish anything. It won't give you atonement, right? So it's not a good thing. Rav Amital loved quoting this. I understand that it's a bit of apologetics, but whatever. I'm just saying the point is it's usher, right? Don't get from this that it's mutter. He said, "What are you asking me? It's obviously forbidden to hurt them. What are you doing?" So Amrle. So Amrle Rabbi Yirmiyah Rabbi Zera Ktani Lochen Mehen Beima Avadim Ushvachos. We say that you can buy from them animals and servants and maidservants. So we said, what is the case? Eved Yisrael, is it that we can buy Jewish servants from them? Presumably because we can save them, right, from the influence of the idolatrous society. Is that why it's permitted? Odoma Filu Eved Oved Kochavim. Are we even allowed to buy the idolatrous servants from them? Amar le mistavra Eved Yisrael. He said, I think it's probably a Jewish servant. Eved Oved Kochavim. Said, why would I be able to? Why should I do this? Why should I? Right, Rashi says, my mitzvah. My mitzvah is gone. I mean, what mitzvah is there that you're saving him from the right? He's an idolater, so we'll stay with the idolaters. Why should you do it? Kiyasa Ravin said, no. Amar Reb Shimon ben Lakish, afil Eved Oved Kochavim. Remember that Jewish, right? An Eved Kenani becomes a Jew of sorts, right? He right? I mean, the way the Gemara says it in Sanhedrin and Ches is, right? Michal akum Yisrael loba, right? Somewhere in between, right? But still, you're bringing him to Shechina. It's a certain level of conversion, right? You're saving him culturally. Right, and this continued for thousands of years, right? This isn't just like something did in Gemara. There are documents of this from the mid 1800s in the States, right? I had friends who were 7th generation American, right? And their great grandparents were from the South, were plantation owners. And after the Emancipation Proclamation, they gave them Shtari Shechrur, and they became Jewish. They had gone through the process of Eved Kenani, right? This happened, What? The Chaim Mitzvah is like an Isha, exactly. Right? Do they have the same Kedusha? It's not totally clear, right? The Rambam has a tshuva in Trumos and Maasros where he says, yes, they probably do have some level of Kedusha. Yisrael, right? Salvation Governor said they didn't. But I'm not sure he saw this Truvas HaRambam. Anyway, so Omer of Ashi... He said, but wait a second, on that list there's animals. I get it, but what exactly, what mitzvahs are they in the chayiv now? So he says, no, you're right, forget it. Forget all your highfalutin stuff. The reason that is permitted is because you're taking things away from them. That's good. Get things away from them. You're giving them money. Yeah. But remember, in that world, and this is an assumption the Gemara says in many places, people didn't like selling things. Right? They always held on to things. They were only selling as a last resort. It was always better to have stuff than money, right? It wasn't really a money-based economy. So selling anything was seen as a lack. Except maybe certain people were professional merchants, but in general, selling was seen as a lack. Okay, Rabbi Yaakov Zavan Sandala, right? So Rabbi Yaakov used to sell shoes at the idolatrous fairs. Sorry, he bought shoes. Rabbi Yirmiyah Zavan Pita, and Rabbi Yirmiyah bought bread. So Amar Lechad Lechavrei. So one said to the other, Yasma avad Rabcha, right? Did your an orphan, right? Did your Rebbe make? Meaning below, right? Rashi said below dot, meaning your Rebbe made someone who doesn't know what to do at all, right? What are you buying from them? So Hachi Amar Le Idach Yasma avad Rabcha. and the other one said it, right? They said it to each other. Why? Why? Because both of them bought it from the private sellers under the table, right? But each one of them thought that they did it right. This is classic, right? Oh, I did it the right way. You obviously did it the wrong way, right? Right? Why they didn't judge each other favorably, I don't know. Okay, but that's what happened. Because we already said that if you buy from the professional merchant who's going to pay the taxes, it is prohibited. If you buy from the private seller who, for whatever reason, is not paying taxes, it is permitted. Amar Rabbi Abba Breder B'chia Bar Abba Ilay Mahayar Rabbi Yochanan Hazimna Ba'asra de kashakle michsa afilu mi balabayis have asar ela inu heichi zavon albayis she'ena kavua zavon. He said, but if you say the time of Rabbi Yochanan, right, in his place, they cracked down on the private sellers, right? They took tax even from the stands on the little push carts. So how do you buy even from a balabayis? He said, no, there were 3 levels, right? There were 3 levels. There's the storefront, and then there's like the kavua push carts, right, who are always there, and then there's the people who come in and out, and no one bothers charging tax from the people who just, pop it. It's just not worth it, right? They just didn't collect it. Yeah, the pop-ups, right? So that when he's talking about that, the principle is the same. Don't buy from the person who's paying taxes to the idol. You have to figure out in your own city who is it that they collect taxes from. If they collect even from the private sellers, so don't buy from them either. If they don't, okay, fine. Just to look at the Mishnah here, Elu dvarim asurim limkor laoved kochavim. So these are the things that you shouldn't sell to the idolaters. These are chashuv things that are going to be used for the idols themselves, and some of these will be explained. Right? It's taburlin ubino shuach, which as Rashi says, the Gemara will get to what that is. Patotrot ulevona v'tarnagol halavan. So patotrot are they translated? Stems.
Yeah, they're saying that astroglin and not suach, they both are the stems attached. Then you can be used for avodah zara.
Right. I mean, there are these types of plants, flowers, something like that, but with their stems. Okay. Ulavona, frankincense, Marlavan, which is this very chashuv bird. Right, it says particular type of rooster or whatever. Rabbi Yehuda Omer muter limkorlo tarnagol lavan. Bein hatarnagolin. You're allowed to sell him this unique chicken rooster as long as you're just selling him your other ones, because as Rashi says, the reason we assume is, look, if he specifically wanted this very significant white rooster, so then he would only buy it. If he's just buying a bunch of roosters and one of them happens to be this one, right, so it's clear it's not doing for idolatry, it just happens to be part of the mix.
Sounds like voodoo.
What?
Voodoo. Why?
Yeah, voodoo.
They use chickens.
Oh, do they? Oh, okay, there you go. Okay, fine.
Clearly avodah zara.
Uvizman shu b'fnei atzmo kodei etzis bo mocholo. If you're selling it by itself, so basically invalidate it, cut off a finger, do whatever you need to do to invalidate it from avodah zara. Lefishin makrivim chal shavos kachavim. Right, because they won't. Right, because it's a mum. Right, and the Gemara assumes that even goyim were makbet at least on the mum of chutzer ever. Ushar kol advarim staman mutter. Other things, if they don't specify that it's for idolatry, it's permitted. Upeirushan, if they tell you, hey, right? I mean, well, the Gemara will explain exactly what this means. But if it's explicit, so then it is a problem. Asur, Remeir Omer Av Dekel Tav V'Chatzav Asur Limkor Lo Kochavim. Again, this is right a certain type of date palm, but again, the Gemara will explain the exact contours of this. But again, the yesod of this Mishnah is, and that's what the Gemara will spell out, is things which you have good reason to assume are going to be used for avodah zara. You can't sell to the idolaters. Other things you can, barring the tax cases and whatever that we just talked about. Okay.